It took me 3 years or so to figure out what angle to take on it. But the result was racism and sexual oppression in Anglo-America. And I read a lot about the civil rights movement. I read a lot about psychological and sociological studies of racism. And it really didn't help me understand what I lived through and what I saw in the world around me. It didn't help me understand racism very well. Finally, when I came upon some work of historians on the beginnings of the concept of whiteness as a category of human being, I thought, this is useful. And then I could apply my genealogical tools to it, my Foucault tools, which are about finding, not necessarily, when you do a history of something, suppose you do a history of the United States. If you do a history of the United States, then you assume that the thing they're doing the history of was there in the whole period of history that you're covering. So you start the United States 1776 or 1789 or whatever you want to start it at, and to the present, and that's the history of the United States. But when you do a genealogy, you're actually doing something that's more like what people who do family trees do. That is, you find places where the thing you're interested in doesn't seem to have been present or not present in the same way. You're really sort of looking for a time before it was born. And then you're looking at what came together, what were the conditions that made it possible for that thing to emerge. So if you were doing a genealogy of the United States, then you look at the colonial period, you look at the forces of colonialism, you look at the economic situation that drove people in Europe to do what they did, to colonize different parts of the world. You look at all of the factors that led to the colonists declaring independence. So you're looking at the behind part of the United States, the things that came together, many of which, of course, are accidental. There's no teleology in a genealogy. The odds against any one of us ever being born are, zillions to one, because it really just depends on so many contingencies.